Welcome to your Houston Rewind for October 17th through the 21st. I'm KHOU11 digital anchor Brandy Smith, and it has been a whirlwind week. We've been busy covering Houston stories. You've been busy making your own. So consider this your chance to catch up on some headlines you may have missed. Let's rewind. On Monday, it only took a jury 30 minutes to convict a man who shot and killed a beloved Harris County Sheriff's deputy. Robert Solis showed little emotion as he was found guilty of capital murder in the death of Deputy Sandeep Dhaliwal. Solis shot Dhaliwal in the back of the head during a traffic stop in 2019. The Texans announced Monday they parted ways with the Executive Vice President of Football Operations. Jack Easterby came to Houston in 2019 after working for the New England Patriots for several years as chaplain and character coach. He was hired as Executive Vice President of Team Development before being promoted to his current role in January 2020. KHOU11 Investigates is learning more about the reach of the Oath Keepers in the Houston area. Leaked membership rolls reveal more than 700 Houston area residents signed up with the anti-government group. Jeremy Rogalski caught up with some of them who are local elected officials.
Long before the attack on the U.S. Capitol, the Oath Keepers spent years on recruiting new members.
They use certain issues to bring folks in. They use the idea of service, camaraderie.
Rachel Carol Rivas has researched the extremist group since its founding and says the Oath Keepers intentionally focused on police, military, and first responders.
By targeting people who are in these positions of authority and respectability, it does actually bring legitimacy to the organization.
Last month, the Anti-Defamation League analyzed membership rosters obtained by the journalist nonprofit DDO Secrets and identified hundreds of law enforcement and elected officials across the country. The ADL found a handful in the Houston area. We discovered even more. 25 current law enforcement officers and 7 retired cops who were on the force when they joined the Oath Keepers, according to the leaked membership rolls.
I heard about it through friends.
Galveston County Commissioner Joe Giusti signed up back in 2013 when he was a deputy constable.
Just the idea of living up to your oath makes a lot of sense to me.
But the initial pitch of defending the Constitution, Giusti says, changed on Oath Keepers' blogs, and he left the group.
When I get in there and read stuff, it's like, this is progressively getting worse.
Worse how?
Worse as far as kind of radical, if you would.
Giusti is also among the 9 local elected officials we found on the leaked Oath Keepers membership rolls, including 5 Republican Party precinct chairs. KHOU reached out to them and other leaders on the Houston area list. Most who responded disavowed their membership, saying things like January 6th was a complete mess, I denounced their illegal actions, and I regretted joining. Others had no comments, saying, I don't trust the media, and calling us a leftist propaganda organization.
So we are seeing people defect, but there are folks who have dug in their heels.
Carol Rivas hopes the seditious conspiracy trial of Oath Keepers leaders will trigger current members to reconsider their allegiance.
Are taking stock, pulling back, and questioning their involvement in what this group really represents, and all groups like it.
We have more responses from elected officials on that list at KHOU.com and on our KHOU11 News app. Spooky season can also be spendy season, but if you know how to shop smart, you can find some savings. Ugochi Aloka showed us on Monday.
Charlie is on the case.
When you're a family of 5 in an economy where everything is going up.
With twins, I'm always looking for deals, and things can be really expensive, especially if they're only going to wear something once, like for Halloween.
Saving a buck is an art.
They're kids. They don't care about the high dollar stuff. They really don't.
That goes for baby brother too.
What is that? Oh, that's chocolate.
Things like candy and costumes can add up at the most spookiest time of year.
See if I can get this chocolate out, huh?
So Nicholas and Courtney Stellis of Cyprus turned to Facebook Marketplace to keep Halloween from haunting, well, their bank accounts.
The kids' costumes today I got for between $5 and $10 each. They have Spider-Man, Paw Patrol, and Power Rangers that they can pick from. And today they chose Paw Patrol.
Paw Patrol outfits cost anywhere from $27 to $49 each. But on Marketplace, parents say the same kids' costumes are usually a fraction of the price.
It's a lot cheaper than spending $100 for the whole family.
And you can always try to negotiate that asking price down if it's still too high.
It definitely beats that Amazon bill piling up and then all the UPS returns afterwards.
As for Dad,
For a 3-year-old, $5–10 is my range.
looks like he approves.
How do you decide, which deals to get?
Oh, I don't decide. They decide.
Ugochi Iloka, KHOU 11 News.
Never before seen images of civil rights activist Stokely Carmichael are on display right now at the Museum of Fine Arts, Houston. Carmichael was one of the original freedom riders with the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, or SNCC, in the 1960s. The photographs were taken by another iconic figure, Life magazine photographer Gordon Parks. Anayeli Ruiz explored the significance of this exhibit.
I said, I just walked in. He said, just walk the hell out.
It's an incredible collection of never-before-seen black and white photographs of the first black staffer for Life magazine, Gordon Parks.
Seeing all these images gives you a better impression of what Parks saw and what an amazing photographer he was.
The exhibit, called Gordon Parks, Stokely Carmichael, and Black Power, is about a 1967 Life magazine article where photographer Gordon Parks published images and a profile of Stokely Carmichael, a young civil rights leader. And to publish the article, Gordon traveled with Carmichael for months, snapping nearly 700 pictures.
Only 5 appeared, the rest went into an archive.
And now those images are up on display, highlighting issues still being faced today.
You'll see Carmichael fighting for voter registration and voter rights in Lowndes County, Alabama. We know that we are still fighting for equality of voting rights and fair districting today.
Not only black folk, but the nation.
And for people like Dr. James Thomas Jones III, seeing this exhibit is very surreal.
As a person who came up within the Black Studies movement, these are the guys that really started the entire movement that I dedicated my career to. It's amazing to have.
Well, this exhibit also has ties to our city. Carmichael and Parks both visited Houston and had speeches here. Those are also part of the display.
This is a chance for people to really look back about 60 plus years, and deal with the idea of race and power, things that are still hitting us to this very day.
The exhibit will be here at the museum until January 16th, Martin Luther King Day. It's included with your general admission and free on Thursdays. Anayeli Ruiz, KHOU 11 News.
Neighbors in Montrose reached out to KHOU 11 because they feel ongoing work by CenterPoint Energy crews is creating a public safety issue. That work is underway near the intersection of Hawthorne Street and Woodhead. On Tuesday, Maria Aguilera showed us why neighbors are so concerned.
Construction and excavation holes, a common sight in this Montrose neighborhood.
The pits were open for our house probably for about a month.
With Halloween coming up and kids going door to door trick-or-treating, Aoife Cunningham says a big concern is safety.
They do have it cornered off, but for little ones like this, they can just run straight through it or under it, so that's a little bit more challenging.
The work being done, according to CenterPoint Energy, is related to an ongoing natural gas line replacement project. On some streets, there are several holes appearing to be a few feet deep, and others,
as a result, you have to walk out into the street,
looking out for traffic to get around. William Johnson also lives in this community.
When you have something like this, it's just not only an inconvenience, it's just a concern from the safety of people using the sidewalks.
Both neighbors say there's been a lack of communication.
We haven't received any information on the timeline that I'm aware of. It seems to be a black hole in terms of information as to what's going on.
For Cunningham and her energetic 3-year-old, the work on their street is partially done.
When our street had the holes, like it's literally every single house.
Asphalt now covers the areas where the holes once were, but the work isn't done.
I mean, I think for parents, it's just more so us being very wary and very alert.
Hollywood and Broadway star Lin Manuel Miranda visited Houston Tuesday, campaigning for Texas Democrats.
Hello, Houston!
The award-winning creator of Hamilton told this crowd why he thinks Beto O'Rourke should be the next Texas governor. He added Texas can turn blue, starting with this election and young people and Latinos.
They're not on anybody's radar. They're not in anybody's poll. And this campaign, as of 2 weeks ago, had already registered 70,000 college students. Those are just college students through our fellows on college campuses across the state of Texas. I am confident that young people are going to lead the way, as they always do, and they're going to lead us to victory.
Earlier in the day, Miranda visited the University of Houston to moderate a panel of young voters who discussed the big issues driving them to the polls. Meantime, O'Rourke's opponent, Governor Greg Abbott, spent Tuesday in Waco speaking to law enforcement about the fentanyl crisis. Parents across Texas started getting letters this week, letting them know they'll soon get in-home child ID kits for kids in kindergarten through 8th grade. Those kits are used to collect DNA and fingerprints in case of an emergency. A viewer asked the KHOU11 Verify team whether this was a response to recent mass shootings, and Janelle Bluda got the answer on Tuesday.
Different versions of this letter are going out to parents across the state. At Clear Creek ISD, they're telling parents they'll soon receive kits at home to store their child's fingerprints and DNA in case of an emergency. But on the heels of the Uvalde Robb Elementary School shooting, where DNA had to be used to identify students who were killed, many parents are outraged.
For this to be launched in light of Uvalde, it's sort of macabre.
In response to this, Anthony asked us to verify, is it true the state of Texas is issuing free DNA kits to K-8 students to aid in ID process after a mass shooting? Our source for this, Dr. Bob Sanborn, president and CEO of Children at Risk, an advocacy nonprofit dedicated to addressing the root causes of poor public policies affecting children. He can verify this not to be true. He says supplying the kits to parents is part of a law passed July of 2021, nearly a year before Uvalde.
The law was clear, though. I mean, it was because of trafficking. We had no mass shootings where we needed identification when this law was passed.
He says the original intent was not for mass shootings, but to assist in locating and returning a missing or trafficked child.
If you're searching for your child, if you believe your child's been trafficked, the idea of being able to identify them quickly through DNA is sound.
Though he does say the kits could be used in mass shootings like the one at Robb Elementary, but says the timing on the release of these kits, less than 5 months after Uvalde, was poor.
What maybe started as a good idea a few legislative sessions ago has turned into a very bad idea.
So we can verify this is false. The DNA kits are not being sent out because of school shootings, but it doesn't mean they couldn't be used to ID victims.
Do you have something you want our team to verify? It's as easy as emailing us at verify@khou.com. KHOU11 is your education station, and this year we're partnering with our adopted school to share inspirational stories. On Tuesday, Cheetah Craft introduced us to a mom and her daughter who are making an impact at Walnut Bend Elementary.
I started in 1982. I taught for 37 years. I was a special education teacher, and I just love my job. I love having an impact on kids.
And maybe the biggest impact on her own daughter.
Whenever I was growing up, I would always come and help her with summer school, and I remember helping her one year that they had a special education program, so the students who had cognitive disabilities, and that's where I really learned how to have patience and be more of a servant leader. I was kind of like a mini teacher back then.
Alex went to Walnut Bend, and now she's back as a teacher working on her PhD, right alongside her mom.
When I was in elementary school here at Walnut Bend, these are the things that we did. Coming to work every day, just knowing that my mom's gonna be there makes the day go a little bit easier.
And the desire to serve runs in the family. Alex's grandmother, June's mom, raised her kids to help others.
When we were growing up, it was 3 of us, and my mom would always make us get our things, and we would go serve, go volunteer. So when Alex was growing up, we did the same thing. We would take mission trips. We would go and serve food during Christmas and Thanksgiving. That was just a part of us growing up, so I tried to pass the same thing on to Alex.
Wednesday, the state rested its case in the capital murder retrial of A.J. Armstrong. He's accused of killing his parents while they slept in their Southwest Houston home back in 2016, and Adam Bennett was in court.
The judge sent the jury home early today because of witness travel issues. Meanwhile, the defense plans to finish presenting their case tomorrow before the final step, closing arguments. After several days of hearing the case against him, A.J. Armstrong's legal team got their first chance today to present their side of what happened July 28, 2016 to the jury. The defense called 2 witnesses today. First was Theodis Reagans. In 2016, he was coaching at Lamar High School, where he said A.J. went after flunking out of Kincaid. Reagans testified he never saw A.J. angry, frustrated, or disrespectful to his dad, and that they appeared to have a good relationship. The coach also said A.J. wanted to play football at another private school, St. Pius, but his mom nixed the idea. On cross-examination, then St. Pius coach Stephen Hill told prosecutors Dawn Armstrong was angry and yelling during a conversation about that issue. Hill testified, quote, her exact words were, "I'm not paying another dime for his blank to be into private school when we could send his lying blank down the street to Lamar." During opening statements, prosecutors had told the jury Armstrong had a rocky relationship with his parents.
They were constantly getting on him about tutors, about spending too much time with his girlfriend.
The defense had claimed the opposite and said there's no physical evidence linking A.J. to the murder.
Look, trials are trials and anything can happen, but we are cautiously confident about the case, and I think that, again, we're showing the jury what I told them I would show them, and I think we're gaining credibility.
The defense expects to resume testimony tomorrow morning at 9:30. Both sides plan to present closing arguments Monday morning. Adam Bennett, KHOU 11 News.
If you want to catch up on this case, KHOU 11 has been covering it since 2016. You can watch our coverage in this playlist on our KHOU 11 YouTube channel. Texas is the first U.S. state to make buying sex a felony. The legislature passed that law in its last session, but KHOU 11 Investigates found most of the criminal cases get dismissed. On Wednesday, Jeremy Rogowski shared his findings.
Whether on the streets or online, it's festered for years. A parade of Johns driving the sex trade and sustaining human trafficking. It's why Texas lawmakers took unprecedented action to disrupt the demand.
To make sure that Texas is way ahead of every state.
They passed a first-of-its-kind law making solicitation of prostitution a felony, punishable by up to 2 years behind bars.
The most important change, though,
and Harris County District Attorney Kim Ogg praised the tougher penalty and pledged,
and we are prosecuting individuals arrested for just that.
But we found an issue.
You can sign a bill into law,
but it has to be implemented correctly.
Caroline Roberts is with the advocacy nonprofit Children at Risk.
So that's always a question that we have. How is this law being implemented?
Since the new law took effect, we found the Harris County DA's office rarely got felony convictions. Only 5% of all cases disposed. 77% of those cases were dismissed under what's known as pretrial diversion, where a defendant takes a class, pays a fine, and has a chance to get the charge expunged, wiped off their record.
My question there is, what does that diversion mean? Is it a very robust, well-vetted, evidence-based program that is done weeks and weeks and weeks?
Roberts cautions against some of the programs offered online.
It's not accountability to just check a box, watch a video, and be done with a felony.
So we had some questions for the DA's office.
Is this soft on crime?
No. Prosecutor Nathan Beadle is a trial bureau chief.
Why so few felony convictions?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of reasons for that.
Beadle says the sex buying cases, quote, lack priority compared to murder cases, sexual assault, aggravated robbery, and other violent crimes when there's only enough resources to go around. He adds that pretrial diversions are usually offered to first offenders only, and the recidivism rate is among the lowest of any crime.
In most cases where people get pretrial diversion, I think it's absolutely the right way to go if they complete the necessary programs.
But when pressed on the quality of those programs,
does the DA's office have any sort of master list on what programs are solid, verifiable, worthy programs versus others that are not?
I'm not aware of a list that exists.
Should there be one?
Well, that's something that we could definitely look at, for sure.
Now, other counties such as Montgomery are enforcing the law much differently. Prosecutors there tell us in most sex buying cases, they are getting convictions and only offering pretrial diversion in a few. Jeremy Rogowski, KHOU 11 Investigates.
Keep tabs on what the KHOU 11 Investigates team is working on our website. Just go to khou.com/investigations. How many Astros games have you been to? I bet the season ticket holder we're about to introduce you to has you beat. Since 2009, she has only missed 5 home games. Ahead of ALCS Game 1 on Wednesday, Sherman Chow caught up with her.
Jan Mingus is, well, a super fan.
Season ticket holder since '09. Missed approximately 5 games in that time span.
And she scores every single game. She has 41 volumes at the house and more in storage.
I use an orange highlighter for home runs. It helps to keep your concentration on the game. It's also a written history of you were there and witnessed this. So.
It all started with Jan's uncle, who pitched for the New York Giants and Pittsburgh Pirates.
My mother taught me how to keep score when I was in grade school.
Long since retired, Astros baseball is now her full-time job.
I have George, that I say good morning to every morning.
She has an all-star Astros memorabilia collection and seen the good and bad.
This is rally towels from the 2 games and our ticket from the 17 World Series. I was at Dodger Stadium, which I will never go back to.
On her 79th birthday, the team even signed a jersey for her.
I go to spring training every year.
She also records the draft.
22 and 21, 19, 18, etc. So I can follow the kids.
At 86 years young, Jan Mingus is living her best life. Go Astros and go Jan.
A building janitor is accused of exposing workers there to herpes by putting his genitals in water bottles. The number of alleged victims is growing. Thursday, Jason Miles reported a civil lawsuit and criminal charges have been filed against the janitor, and we want to warn you, some of the details of this story are graphic.
A janitor who worked in this medical office building off the East Freeway is accused of leaving some things anything but clean. 50-year-old Lucio Diaz was previously charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon for allegedly dipping his private part into an employee's water bottle while on the job.
To be honest, I felt disgusted.
She told me she used a spy camera to catch Diaz in the act after detecting foul odors in her water. These screenshots were taken from the full video, which shows everything.
I just picked it up, removed the cap, and proceeded to put his penis probably halfway into the bottle, and then he tilted it up so that his penis was surrounded by the water.
This civil lawsuit filed today seeks to hold others responsible as well by claiming neither the building's owner, management, nor the janitorial company that employed Diaz properly vetted him or effectively reacted to concerns.
We filed suit on behalf of 4 victims.
Attorney Kim Spurlock claims the initial client contracted herpes from the water bottle, as did at least one other, something numerous medical authorities say is rare, but not out of the question.
It's different when it's coming from the genitalia. And these diseases can live on these surfaces for extended periods of time.
Spurlock expects the plaintiff list to grow even larger, along with additional criminal charges against Diaz, something about which no one named in the lawsuit has provided a statement to us thus far, despite repeated requests. You can get a closer look at the lawsuit on KHOU.com. Meanwhile, I'm told Diaz is still in the custody of ICE, awaiting his first criminal court appearance. Reporting off the East Freeway, Jason Miles, KHOU 11 News.
Now to the upcoming midterm elections, and the deadline to get your mail-in ballot application in is October 28th. Make sure you fill it out correctly so it doesn't get rejected like thousands of ballots did in the March primary election. To help you out, Matt Doherty stepped us through the process on Thursday.
There were many Texans who'd been voting without issue for decades, but earlier this year, they saw some of their mail-in ballot applications and their ballots rejected. The changes stemming from the recently passed voting legislation requires voters to include their driver's license number, their personal identification number, or the last 4 digits of their social security number. Whichever identifying number a voter chooses has to be the same number used when the person first registered to vote. That was a lot to ask of Texans who registered to vote 40 years ago. Many of them couldn't remember which number they used back then. Election officials told us that voters submitting ballot applications should include all of their identifying numbers just to be safe. The numbers should be written on both their mail ballot application and mail ballot envelope. The Texas Secretary of State's Election Division updated the design of the carrier envelope this summer, which now has a bold red box around the ID field. Back in February, we introduced you to Pam Gaskin, who had her mail-in ballot application rejected 3 times for technicalities. This election cycle, she's helping teach others about the changes so they can avoid the trouble she experienced earlier this year.
If you're voting by mail, don't wait until after next week to mail it, because the ballot has to be received by the elections office by 7 p.m. on election day.
We reached out to the Secretary of State's office today to get the total number of ballot applications that were received for the March primaries, how many were rejected, and how many of those were eventually remedied. We're still waiting to hear back. In West Houston, I'm Matt Doherty, KHOU 11 News.
We have everything you need to know about the upcoming election in the KHOU 11 voter guide. Important dates, ID requirements, and more. Just go to khou.com/vote. When the playoffs kick into high gear, so do scammers making fake merchandise. Federal investigators and Houston police rounded up all kinds of knockoffs, and on Thursday, Tiffany Craig showed us some of those finds and offered some tips so you get what you pay for.
Nothing sells faster than postseason merchandise.
Getting ready for game day.
Oh my God, flip that around. How fun is that?
I love it. I'm ready, go Stros.
Fans flock to the Astros team store and spend whatever it takes.
$120.
Whoa, how much?
$120.
The excitement is contagious.
Go Astros.
And counterfeiters know that. Here are some MLB fakes rounded up by Homeland Security Investigations and Houston Police. This stuff was found at pop-up tables near Minute Maid and on Harwin Drive. They look legit. But take these water bottles, for example. The MLB doesn't even brand them, so be careful. If you're not buying at an authorized retailer like the team store, you might be getting MLB fake stuff. You won't find the real things at street vendors or at flea markets. Oh, and if it's dirt cheap, it's probably fake too. You know the playoffs come with a cost.
Nothing is cheap at all, but it was all right. It's worth it.
Here are some quick tips before you buy. Look for poor stitching, ripped tags, irregular markings, and misspellings. And I don't want to get ahead of myself or jinx anything, but the World Series is also big business for counterfeiters. Just remember that.
A new study on chemical hair straighteners links them to a higher risk of uterine cancer in women. On Friday, Rekha Mudaraj explained how that research started a conversation about why stopping the use of these products isn't so simple.
That is a very important thing when it comes to looking professional, having hair that you can manage.
Jennifer George visited Chevaux Salon in Houston to get a relaxer, a chemical treatment that straightens hair.
My hair is type 4C. It's very coarse and hard to maintain on its own. So I started getting relaxers when I was a child.
A new study from the National Institute of Environmental Health Services revealed women who use chemical hair straightening products were twice as likely to develop uterine cancer at more than 4% by age 70. For women who didn't use them, that cancer risk was estimated to be 1.64%. While the findings gave her pause, George, who's an attorney, says styling her hair this way allows her to save time and money.
Obviously, I'm concerned about my health, but at the same time, I have to take it with a grain of salt because So many things cause cancer these days, and I just have to, choose what's feasible for me.
Salon owner Monet Doughton says many of her clients feel professional pressure to wear their hair a certain way.
They don't feel as if they would get certain positions or get certain treatment when their hair is in braids or in the natural curly state.
In 2022, the American Cancer Society estimates there will be nearly 66,000 new uterine cancer cases in the U.S., and mortality rates from the disease are rising, particularly among Black women.
No chemicals, so no colors, no relaxers, anything to alter the natural way of your hair and natural being of your hair.
Nika Valentine specializes in natural hairstyles and says similar smooth results can be achieved with just a flat iron. She understands it is more time consuming, with trims and moisturizing masks needed to maintain curls. All agreed that while health risks are a real concern, the hairstyles women choose are deeply personal.
It's your crown, so whether you're relaxed, whether you're natural, I feel that you should take care of your hair and you should give your hair the TLC that it deserves.
Classic cars and trucks worth millions of dollars are up for auction this weekend in Houston, and that includes a special truck that was redesigned as a tribute to the Oilers. Dave Freilich got to talk to the truck's owner on Friday before it headed to auction.
Give you a look inside here.
Casey Hinson wasn't alive during the late 70s, early 80s heyday of Bum Phillips and the Love You Blue Houston Oilers, but his restored 1980 Chevy K10 4x4, nicknamed the Roughneck, has captured the spirit of the team and the era.
It was a custom job done by a local dealership back in 1980. This truck in particular was won in a raffle in the Houston Astrodome in March of 1980.
Over 40 years later, in December 2020, Casey found the truck when he was searching for a project during the pandemic.
We were looking in Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace, and we found it in Waco, Texas. It was sitting there just rusting away. A guy had started the project, but he didn't have the time to finish it.
The project became Casey's, a year and a half of work that was rewarding, but sometimes overwhelming.
I had to do a lot of research and digging, a little bit of forensic analysis around things like the seats. They were pretty roached and torn up. I could tell what the colors were and kind of what the patterns, so I took that to the folks that helped me with the seat design, and we got it done right.
The final product will now go to the highest bidder. Casey won't say how much he expects the truck to bring in, but he does say it was a little tough putting it on the auction block in the first place.
I really love this truck. I think what did it for me was I just made it way too nice, and I really wanted something to drive, and I don't want to drive it. It's just too nice. So hopefully a Houston Oilers fan out there is going to find the time to take it some tailgates and show it off around town.
There's no doubt this truck is special, but it's not completely unique. Casey says there are more out there if someone's up for a restoration challenge.
In fact, I did find one other truck because I searched far and wide, and there's one other truck that was the same model and replica as this one. I do know there's more out there. They're probably rusting away out there.
A city as old as Houston has plenty of history. With history comes mystery. I checked out some spooky spaces around downtown Houston.
A ghost story is what you personally believe.
Curtis Barber is the lead guide for Nightly Spirits, a haunted bar crawl experience. It kicks off at 305 Travis, where Duke Shapiro opened his tailor shop almost 100 years ago.
It is still open today and run by his son, Mike Shapiro.
Along with the tailor shop, the building houses Char Bar, but no ghosts, at least not yet.
Mike has said that he plans on fully haunting it afterwards because he has such a great time here.
Around the corner at Dean's Downtown, the oldest elevator in Texas helped customers access different levels of what was at one time a clothing store and during Prohibition, a speakeasy. The story goes the elevator operator is still here and sometimes frustrated by guests who don't know the password.
I would say this is one of the places on the tour that gets the most actual experiences, both photographic evidence and physical evidence of people inside.
Just a block away, Hotel Icon embraces its building's history.
It used to be the Union National Bank of Houston in 1910.
That's where money was stored, bills were printed, and some bankers lost their lives.
When Black Friday happened and the stock market crashed, a lot of bankers couldn't deal with that.
And so their spirits linger, according to Barber. Others like to frequent McIntyre's, what used to be a produce warehouse, Southern Railroad offices, a pharmacy, and the Spaghetti Warehouse.
In addition to being a staple and a historical site for Houston, it's also been the site of some interesting ghost activity.
The tour also covers the haunted history of the Rice Lofts, Magnolia Brewery, and more for the believers and the skeptics.
The thing that you are definitely going to see on our tour is spirits of the liquid kind.
I also took ghost tours in Galveston and Spring and visited local haunted houses. You can check them all out in our Spooky Spaces playlist on the KHOU11 YouTube channel. One more thing before we wrap up, early voting starts Monday. You can find polling places, sample ballots, ID requirements, and everything else you need in the KHOU11 voter guide. It's super easy to access, really easy to read, links to every elections office in the greater Houston area. Just want to make sure you are informed and ready to cast your ballot. You can access it by going to khou.com/vote. Hope that helped you get caught up on this past week and that you're ready for the next one. Remember, you can tune into KHOU11 on air, online via khou.com and YouTube, as well as by using our KHOU11 Plus app on Roku and Fire TV. Have a great week.